still only at a 1. Not too bad yet.
You just have readers, or you?
No,
Contacts?
I have contacts.
Do you bring them?
Well, I bring disposables.
Hey, I think we're live now.
Okay.
Whoa, live!
Uh-oh, it says it. I think that means we're in. I'm gonna just say hi real quick. Thanks for tuning in to Dirty Teeth. Welcome back to the channel. I'm sitting here with two friends. This is Brendan. This is Jay. First and second place on the Great Divide race this year. So stoked to be sitting in an undisclosed location in Idaho, drinking some burrs. And I got my other buddy Gary back here behind the camera who's gonna help out with some questions as well. So without further ado, let's dig on into this. Hopefully this live stream is working. If not, let us know in the comments. Also feed your questions in the comments and let's do it. So starting off, Brendan, why don't you tell us a little background? Where you from? How old you are? First time on the Divide? What's up?
What's up? I'm Brendan Heinig. I'm 36, and this was my second time on the Divide. I attempted in 2015 and made it to Silverthorne, and that over the years ate away at me. So I'm back.
Why do you think you only made it to Silverthorne? Because I think that's important to know.
People have asked me this question a lot, and it's like you list off the reasons why you quit, and you just feel like a big whiny baby. But a lot of stuff went wrong that year. I didn't know.
From the little what I've known, what the takeaway of what I have gotten was Brendan was riding a true gravel bike with 40 mil tires and had tons of tire problems. And so that was kind of like my biggest takeaway. Not that honestly this is the first time Brendan and I are really hanging out like this, just kind of shooting the poop and having beers, but we did do a little bit of chatter throughout, and that was the takeaway I got from that experience. And when I heard that from Brendan, I just smiled and said, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
so equipment choice.
Equipment choice was a huge factor, and I had other mechanicals that were just demoralizing, and got fixed as I was going, but it eats away at you. Like, stuff goes wrong, and eventually it all kind of builds up into like, man, I don't know if I can take any more of this. And I was just completely unprepared. I mean, physically, mentally, like I just didn't do the training, didn't have the mindset of finish no matter what, and yeah.
And he obviously came back and changed all that.
Had to come back. Yeah.
He did his work.
Bravo.
So what kind of training, any races, rides leading up to this that you were doing? Your coach, I know you had Kurt Refsnyder coaching you.
Yep.
Let us know a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I worked with, I started working with Kurt in late 2019. I was like ready to get serious about the Divide again. So I got in contact with Kurt. I had a friend who was working with him, and at the time, and knew that, he kind of had a style that I was stoked about, and knew he had the experience, so contacted him, and then we started working together in 2019 and prep for the 2020 Divide, but obviously that didn't happen. So I worked with him through like May, did an Eversting, which was really cool, like just to kind of like use my fitness a little bit. And then later I took a break over the summer into the fall, just to kind of like ride and like do a couple races. So I did this kind of big ride over Rollins Pass in Boulder, and I won Pinions and Pines down in out of Flagstaff.
Sweet.
And I did a big tour. I biked from Colorado to New York in late 2020, and then started working with Kurt again in December last year, and worked with him through this year's Divide.
So have you talked to him since? Is he stoked for you?
We're trying to schedule something. I texted him, and then he wrote me an email back. So he's stoked. Yeah, of course. And we'll get on the phone and kind of have a debrief. Yeah. So.
How about you, Jay? What did you do leading up to the Grand Depart?
Well, I've been preparing for this for like 25 years. Honestly, like, if I just look at this one year, like, I knew last year I was gonna come and do the Divide this year, and I kind of wanted to do the Tour Divide starting from Banff. Kind of read the writing on the wall that we probably wouldn't go to Canada. And then actually a little more focus came into like, well, how can I make the divide actually happen this year? And so it became a little bit more of like, well, how can I help the community? And how can we rally and do something that's meaningful? And still do this so-called Tour Divide. So basically, I would say I kind of spearheaded what we did, which was called the Great Divide Classic this year. And so I kind of put some energy into that with Matthew Lee, kind of the unorganized organizer of the Tour Divide, and we just kind of briefed in on some things. And actually, Pete Bassinger was another one, and a few others. And we just decided to like, yeah, let's put this out there. There's people hungry for the route, and so I kind of was wrapped up with some of that, which was like really important, which like gave me an excuse and a reason to go back to do it. And then as far as preparations, like I rely a lot on my past experience. I have tons of experience. This was my 7th time on the route, and just in general, my lifestyle allows me to be prepared pretty last minute in a lot of situations. So I feel really comfortable and fortunate with that. But I started to hone in on it a few months ago for sure, a little bit of training. I think my biggest ride for this season was 60 miles, but like at this point in my life, that's what I do. I don't do long rides. I turned.
You kind of did a long ride like a week before.
Well, okay, so besides that, so at 49 years old, like I really need to work on my top end, and so that's what I pay attention to is VO2 work and that type of stuff. That's where a lot of my hours are spent. So it's not time, it's like structure stuff. But yeah, the week before, in another last minute deal, I went off and bound XL, which is 350 miles. And that again is to fill a personal thing within me, a community thing and friendship. And I got to see all that and have that there. So regardless if doing 350 miles 6 days before starting a 2,500 mile race, whether that's questionable if that's the right thing to do, and I understand that, but what was good for me was seeing all my friends and being involved with a community that gave me like really good stoke. Like I came back from the event that week like really excited and fulfilled internally, so I was stoked to like just randomly get my shit together and go back up and do the Tour Divide. It wasn't like I wasn't ready, and I had stuff sitting there, and like I envisioned like my kit and my new bike setup and stuff like months in advance. So, it wasn't last minute, but that's just how my life is, and it's one thing to the next. So, I feel lucky for that, but I also put my time in. So, bottom line is I'm just kind of always prepared to go do a 2,500 mile ride.
2 quick things. We're getting some feedback. The people are having a little trouble hearing you. So we have crappy equipment here. So if you could speak up a little louder, that would help.
Okay.
Secondly, I just saw a comment come through from Fixie Dave. He's watching right now. I don't know if you want to show him the scoop, what you got going on here.
Fixie Dave. Well, maybe we do celebrations first. Hey, Fixie Dave, you see this bottle? I believe this bottle is, you sent this bottle to me. And this is pretty classic. In 2007 was the first time I did the Great Divide Race. 2007. You sent me this letter and this bottle. You worked at Stranahan's at the time. Jay, it was awesome to start the GDR with you. That was the Great Divide Race back then. Way to rock it. I'm in awe. If you're ever in Denver, let me know. Would love to ride with you. Looking forward to racing with you soon. Fixie Dave. Dave Nace. Boom. Then, this little ticket here. This was distilled 3505. Comments. Riding the GDR. People been asking when I was going to open this. Some people know I have it, not everyone. Now y'all know. So, I think in proper celebration, since we basically did do a GDR this year, I'm going to pop this thing and share it with my friend here, Brendan.
Nice.
And I think we're
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, get some. What's up, Trent, Carl, Sandra? We see your comments coming through.
There you go. That's the shout out.
Oh, we've got
Yeah.
Celebrations.
Woohoo! Carl tuning in from New Zealand.
Salute.
Dude, we got a
Yeah.
Kiwi.
Cheers, buddy.
Thank you.
Salute.
Boom.
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 Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Now we can get on with the Q&A properly. That's pretty good, bro.
All right, let's get back at it. So, I think people want to get in. Dude, I gotta get a little sip of that in a second.
Oh yeah, pour yourself.
I'll pour it in a sec.
Don't get 2 glasses, guy.
Where should we go? We got some questions coming in from Jennifer right now. JP, you mentioned in one of your videos that you love the strategy of the race. What was your strategy in this race?
Yeah, so
What was your strategy in this race?
yeah, so it's a great question, and I love this question because I believe I am pretty good at strategic bike pack competitor, and I don't have a strategy going into an event. It's loose. I like to play the game as I go, just like chess. You see a move, you react to the move. My move from the start was to like go out like I always do, like we're doing a cross-country race. Let's just shake it up immediately, see who's going to stick around. That was obvious. It shook out pretty quick. I mean, Brendan obviously fit, prepared, strong rider, probably stronger rider out front the whole first week. But I'm comfortable with that. There's a difference with experience, and I know I can be comfortable with that. And like, honestly, Brendan's probably not comfortable with that. I'm guessing. The first time I see Brendan,
Oh, wait, no, you.
I asked immediately.
He has a comment to say about that.
Because we talked about it. It was like, yeah, like I didn't expect to be in the front. And it was like kind of stressful having you back there. And you were like, it was good for me. And I was like,
Exactly. So that's how I know. So when I first see Brendan after a week, he's leading the event. Brendan, dude, how does it feel to be winning the event for a week? I know the event's 2 weeks. He says, yeah, it's kind of stressful. I said, it's not for me.
yeah.
And I'm just really comfortable in my space and playing the game. And honestly, like with an event of this scale, basically we're working within a 2-week window. Like, honestly, 50 miles is not huge to be ahead or behind. You know, in my book, I was starting to go into it, seeing Brendan. Like, I'm in the back, but I'm also studying what Brendan's doing. I'm watching his sleep patterns. The first time we started riding together, I'm watching his riding patterns. I'm seeing he's a spinner versus someone who pushes bigger gears like me. I look at his bike. I know he's running a 32th chainring. I know I'm running a double. I see when he's sleeping, he's going to bed at noon or midnight or 1, and I'm going to bed at 8. Like, I just see and know. So it's not bad. It's an evaluation. You look at your other riders and you look and you know their habits. And then you start to, you want to play your game to their strengths and weaknesses, right? Like, you're not going to be better at everything than another person, but maybe some things. And so you want to work with that. And I have experience to rely on. So, you know, like, that's really how my strategy goes, you know? Not super detailed, but like in general, I'm just playing as I go.
Well, dude, you knew he had a 32th chain ring. Like, obviously, you're a student of the game. When did you decide it's time to make a power move? What were your thoughts? I know you guys were at Pie Town together.
The last few days,
Right,
right?
you're at
Like,
Pie
a lot-
Town.
Like, what everyone wants to hear is like, well, the last few days, right? Like, that's the excitement. There was excitement throughout the whole event, but like, you know, Brendan's leading for the first week. I can only imagine what the audience sees and is thinking. And like, honestly, I was a mess. Like, I was hurting. Like, I didn't feel good. I didn't have a good week. I was a little concerned with myself, and I had to compensate to make sure I stayed close to Brendan. Like,
You cut sleep.
I cut sleep a little bit, and like I know where to strategize. Like, I know the fast road, so I know I can like power there. I know the stuff that's gonna be hard, and like, okay, rest before you do the hard stuff. Like, but still, like, Brendan was riding very and like honestly, like, I couldn't put all the power to the pedals that I typically can. Like,
Why?
I had hot spots on my feet that were like, I'm pretty good at channeling pain, and like, I don't consider pain something. It's a feeling, but you can channel it and just like do that. like I'm concerned about like long term. Like if I started seeing infection, then I would have had to stop. But I was worried about infection. Like when I see these hot spots and these white spots all over the bottom of my feet, like I had problems and I couldn't stand on my pedals. Like I couldn't be out of the saddle doing this because that too much pressure on my feet. So like I had to sit and like I had to monitor that the whole time. Besides my body, which might have been from the 350 mile race beforehand, like I was achy and my muscles just hurt for like over a week, and that's not normal for me. That was the first experience, and like I'll learn from this experience, and that's awesome for my next event. But like it wasn't cool for me. It wasn't fun. Like I was questioning like what's this, but yeah, I'm still a competitor. I'm doing this, and I don't even know how to quit. So like that, I don't consider that. And, like I've never been taught that. I've never done that. So I don't even. It doesn't enter my mind. I know people are like, "Do you ever think about quitting?" I don't. I don't know how.
You probably
So
enjoy solving those problems.
That's the game.
Yeah.
That's what I walk away from. Like winning is not the reward. It's working through that pain. It's playing the game with Brendan and playing that strat, and like that is fun. That's what I get off of. That's what I'm proud of. And so yeah, it was tough, but those last 3 days like was super fun because like the whole time I'm thinking, how am I going to solve this problem? Right? This is all about problem solving. But my other problem is like it's not a problem, but like the game is like how do I get in front of Brendan? And so like I know I have time for that, and I had to wait. I had to see. I was hoping on a mistake, honestly. Like that's where something happens. You're like I'm waiting for a mistake, and that very first mistake happened, and you know where we discussed it.
Grants.
Was on our way to Yeah, it was Grants.
Yeah.
Where you pushed through the night. I slept on top. I knew that, and I knew you went through the night to try to sleep in the morning. I was like, that's about worth shit. No. Like, I know that.
The plan was not to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a day early.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, when you make a jump, like as a road racer, when do you jump? Super important. But you only have yards. In the Tour Divide, where do you jump? You have days. He jumped a day early, honestly. And I watched it happen.
I'm going to talk through it. Because when we were in Cuba, like I made the decision then that I was going to go all night that night.
Yep. And that was your strategy then.
Yeah, and you
awesome.
you left that McDonald's like an hour before me.
Yep.
And so I knew you were out there, and I was like, it's cool. Like he's probably going to sleep tonight, and my plan was to go all night, ride through the next day, let you play catch up while I slept that night, and then go all night again. But I could not do that at all. Yeah.
And so that is definitely like that's like I'm not gonna say it's an inexperience, but it is an inexperienced move, especially for a 2 week long race. Like I know like you can't pull that off 2 days in a row, 2 nights in a row. Yeah. Like I knew it came down to like basically the last 2 days. Like that's when you have the chance to do anything. And so like when you jumped early basically, and when I caught up in the morning, I was just like,
"Oh, I know,
it's not gonna work." Like what happened there is not gonna work for him because like I could skip sleep tonight, and he's not gonna be able to because he can't skip sleep 2 nights in a row plus get through the Gila. So I also know the terrain, so I know what I'm setting myself up for, and I knew what he set himself up for, and like there again, it was a day early because like every time I'd done the divide, the hardest section is that Gila, which is only 36 hours from the border, and everyone thinks I'm gonna go from Pie Town to the border with nothing, and like you can't do that. And that's fun, but I knew that through experience.
Yeah, I think you probably got into Grants, saw the tracker, and knew what I did, and then you caught up to me in the morning, and you're like, "Good morning," and I was like, "God damn it."
Because I slept high. It wasn't important for me to go that night. I knew I had to make a move at some point, and basically it was 2 nights before the end. And then I was like, well, I'm gonna skip on this night because I want to try to now open up the gap, and like which I didn't do the whole entire race, but Brendan kept doing it to me a bit, and I'd have to skip, strategize a little bit, close it in the morning, get a different sleep pattern, and then I'd do it. But I was never the one to really get in front and open it up, and like, but you only have to once, and that's at the end.
So I got a question for you, Brendan. So Jay's talking about the first week, how his body he's struggling the race prior, whether that did it or not. Where were you in the first week physically? with him now sharing with you, he was able to really judge a lot of what he was doing based on you. We were out in front playing that game of self-regulation, self-care, racing hard. Where were you physically in the first week, up until you getting into New Mexico and it really came to close?
Yeah, New Mexico was tough for me, but
it's a tough state.
Yeah, it was tough, and I'd never ridden it. I'd only ridden the Silverthorn last time, so
Okay.
that's the extent of the terrain I knew. But I mean, I was just doing my own thing. Like I had a plan.
Awesome.
I had a plan. I wasn't like, I knew where he was. Like, I checked the tracker, but like I wasn't doing anything specific to like race. Like, I was just like, I want to sleep 5 hours a night, at least, you know, for most of this, and ride as much of the rest of the time as possible. That's all I was doing. Like, I was just like, eat enough food, sleep the amount that I think I need, and that's it. And then that put me in the front, and that was the extent of my strategy.
Awesome.
We might have to put our rain jackets on.
No, dude, this is like a Hawaii storm.
No.
It'll pass. Come on.
We're all right.
Well, let's
We're
keep
good.
let's
We're
keep
good.
in it. Let's keep in it.
Did you? Well, while I'm not trying to. Did you have any physical pain or problems or
Oh,
anything?
sorry,
Any?
yeah.
No, no. What you're saying was
Yeah,
great.
no.
Anything acute that was bothering you though?
No, the only thing
That's pretty good.
yeah, no, I was
A lot of
I was
times, like
prepared.
even strong riders will get like some knee pain or Achilles like 3-4 days in, work through it, and get over.
I slept a little uncomfortably with the knees, like,
Sure.
but not while riding. I never felt it while riding. The only thing that came up that was like around when we were entering Colorado, I started to develop like a little bit of saddle discomfort, and so I just upped my hygiene game. Like, just was like a little bit more on top of it, and basically kept any saddle sores from like really forming to the point where I couldn't ride, like where I couldn't sit, and that was the only thing really.
That's good.
And then it was just like general like numbness in the hands, like just small stuff.
Did you go in? Have you been doing bike fit and really focusing on getting everything ready for
Yeah.
this kind of event?
Yeah, I've been riding that bike like the way it is for about a year and a half, and then for like a couple months of like getting it kind of dialed, and then like I've raced on it a couple times. I did a cross country tour on it, so like I knew that the setup was like right for me. So it was pretty dialed.
Awesome.
Speaking of the setup, you were riding a flat bar Salsa Cutthroat. I know it's a 2018 orange one. It's a sister to my bike Sunshine.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit more about that, because it's, you know, most people ride with a drop bar. What were your thoughts?
Yeah. So in 2015, like Jay said, like I did it on a gravel bike, and so like all my experience really up to 2015 was like drop bars, and the only thing I had ridden on the Divide was drop bars. And I've done a bunch of mountain biking since then with like a true flat bar setup, but like I bought the Cutthroat because I was like, well, I know I can bike at least 1,700 miles on drop bars, and I know I want bigger tires, so like the Cutthroat makes sense for me. I got it, and it just wasn't working. Like bodies change over time, whatever, and like I was getting like tight shoulders, numbness in the hands, and like riding off road on drop bars, and so I was just like, you know what, like let's try this as a flat bar, because like Cutthroat being set up for drop bars, it's got like kind of a shorter top tube to account for like the reach on drop bars, and I was like, that might actually work, because like for the Divide you want to be like comfort is really important. So I was like, okay, like maybe a little bit more upright would be good with the flat bar setup on the Cutthroat, and it just is perfect for me. Like I love it, absolutely love it.
How about you, Jay? Tell us a little bit about your setup. I know we've got
My mountain bike, my hardtail 29er.
the bike you rode on the Divide. Let us know what it is.
Flannel.
The Roadie Ho? Was it a donkey puncher?
Animal you.
It was a
Oh no, it wasn't the donkey puncher. It was the Flanimal.
I love myself, you know, like I've done the event with some sort of different setup every time, and I do that with all events actually. Like, and it's super fun for me to test different things, and so like I pictured it and envisioned it. I built it. I was super stoked with it. I would have changed maybe just one thing on my fit, just maybe one shorter stem and 10 millimeters higher. Because I was starting to reach a little bit for my flats, so I just needed to be a touch more comfortable. Like I get that, I'm a bike fitter, but I was stoked on my decision. I'm pretty sensitive to Q factor, so riding that narrower bottom bracket. It's really like comfortable for me. I ride gravel so much. It's like it's hard for me to move to a mountain bike and then ride that kind of mileage on that type of cadence and terrain, because it's very similar to gravel riding, although more intense. But like I just need that because that repetitiveness, and my body just is very sensitive. It's
So
kind of a bummer.
Like a fat bike Q factors.
I'm
It's
affected
wild.
by that. Yeah.
And you just deal with it.
Yeah, and I try to get the narrower cranks, and I use narrower pedal spindles, and
Okay.
like
All
I
right, so
do
you,
that
kind of
stuff.
compensate for
Yeah,
the bottom
and
right,
like with the fat bike, it's different too because your cadence is lower and your power's different. But with this type of riding, I'm just so keyed in on it, and especially in that repetitive motion for so long. So yeah, I was really stoked.
Steel is real.
Steel is real, yeah, man. I rode a steel bike and it was awesome. And yeah, and you know, and I had a lot of impact on the cutthroat. Like I know, like there's tons of it. Like it's great to see what's gone on there, but at the same time, there's like tons of marketing involved. And honestly, like this isn't about like bikes or anything, but it's like there's a lot of bikes out there that will work and suit people for the Divide is the bottom line. And there's a lot of different setups, and it's personable, and like honestly, just like don't get like honed in onto someone certain. Like just because I'm riding a certain bike and I'm successful with it doesn't mean that you're gonna be. And that all started years ago when I did start riding a cutthroat. Like I've done a lot of different things, and I think people should just like understand that more than anything. What works for one isn't going to work for another. And like when I hear
what saddle do you ride, bro?
yeah, and like even earlier when I hear Brendan say he was on his own program and stuff, like I love to hear that. You're looking at two individuals that like basically rode the route was our challenge. It wasn't like we want to beat each other. Of course, yeah, there's some there's a competitive side inside all of us, and yeah, someone wants to win per se, but like, is that win because you want to beat him, or is it just because like, yeah, like I wanted to put this effort in because I worked so hard, and I overcame this route in my challenges, and just so happened I was first. Like that's what you should be proud of. No matter what place, just like that's what it was, and like for me to hear him saying like he did his own thing, and like we're all being faced with many challenges, and the route doesn't care who you are, the weather doesn't care who you are. Like it's good stuff. It's super fun.
So segue into this. Chuck is asking, did the warmer temps this year seem like a benefit or an added challenge? Did it make it more difficult?
I didn't actually think it was that hot.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't
I mean it's so funny, right? Because like the outside world sees something and they see this global like crazy heat wave going through the world, like through the country, like that was going on. But we were kind of like
it was fine because like
it was fine
because the northern sections were warmer than normal,
which was good.
But they're not warmer than what New Mexico can be, and we were like kind of lucky in the fact that it wasn't 120 degrees when we were down there. So like it was kind of just like 90 degrees the whole time.
It really was. And in the end, what that does is it makes like bivvy time and sleep time really easy.
Yeah, it's
like you're not like, you know what's the worst thing is getting up when it's cold.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Totally.
We're going to bed when it's cold. You're like scrambling and you're stuffing and you're like, but like, yeah, you're walking around in your shorts.
Dude, it's like a tropical storm.
There's something going on here.
Hold on, we got a tropical storm coming in.
Talk about the weather.
Stop talking about the weather.
Okay. Well,
Whoa.
Shut that.
Sun's down. One more quick question from Jennifer. Brendan, she said your race was a true inspiration. Will you be back? What was your biggest takeaway?
I'm not gonna come back for a little while. I'm gonna go do some other stuff. I have no plans, but no plans to come back in any given time frame.
It sounds like that answer will be different in 6 months.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, just from what I know.
Yeah, you know how it goes. And I know how it goes too. I remember I ran my first marathon and I was like, this is not good for people. Like no one should ever run a marathon. Like this is awful. I'm never doing this again. And it was like several Ironman later. Biggest takeaway. Biggest takeaway is just like kind of what we alluded to earlier. Is like if you put in the work and you're serious about something, you'll surprise yourself. That's my biggest takeaway. And like, you know, you learn from these. Like, it's just a bike race, it's just a bike ride, but you can take that to other areas of your life, and it's like, shit, like if I focus on something, like not to get too Doc Brown, but like you can do anything you put your mind to, right?
True.
And so I'm excited to see what else I can do with my life, because it's like these experiences that are hard.
Sorry, somebody just chimed in. Brendan, are you single? Woo woo. Sorry.
Yeah, Craig chimed in. Brendan, are you single?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just
Sorry,
couldn't.
It might be my best friend. Actually. I don't know. But
Craig Brace.
that is my best friend.
He's in.
Hi. Say hi to Kelty and Cohen for me. Yeah, just doing this stuff just makes everything else just a little bit easier.
Right on.
It's cool. You can look back on this experience like, I can handle some shit. That's awesome.
Simple way of life teaches kind of what's important too and what's not.
Yeah.
I think. I always come back kind of refreshed and like, that's really not that big of a deal. Or, you know, oh no, this is important. I need to eat.
Food good.
So at no point, Brendan, this time were you in a place where thinking you were done? That wasn't happening for you.
That was not an option.
Awesome.
That was not an option.
Fat Bike World just chimed in live and says, is a comment to Jay. So cool to get the access to hear these guys talk about their approaches. I love that what Jay said about winning. It's not about beating the other guy, but beating your expectations. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, good
I've
lessons.
always been that way.
Good lessons.
On the mental note, let's talk a little about motivation. This is for both of you. You can see who wants to answer it first. Any people in and out of cycling that are big motivations to you? What kept you going when you're out there? Any mantras, things that go through your head to keep pushing through the downtimes? I know there's a lot of questions at once.
Yeah. I won't list off like anyone specific, but just like, you know, it's when you read books and you read about people doing amazing things and you're just like, wow, like I wonder what I can do. But in terms of mantras, like for me, like I made a post about this, but just focusing on always moving, right forward, right, like you don't have to be really good at something. You just have to like be interested in doing it and like want to do the work and just keep chipping away at it. Like, don't sit on your ass. Just, you don't have to make huge progress today. You just have to make a little bit of progress. And a lot of times it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but it's the process, and eventually you just get there. You know, so for me, it's like steady and slow, right? Like, keep moving, but don't worry about how much progress you made today. Don't worry about how fast you went, whatever. Like, you know, just keep moving.
Steady and slow, you end up going pretty fast.
Certainly for this race, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like if you look at, you know, like on track leaders, you can see like moving speed and moving time, right? Like, Dan and I are no faster than anyone in the middle of the pack. We're all riding around
10 miles an hour.
right?
That's it.
The difference is how much time you're spending on the bike, right? That is really the deciding factor for doing well in something like this. So,
Yeah, there again, like I feel super fortunate to be in the position I'm in today, and like I don't have to rely on a lot of like mantras or motivation. Like, I'm motivated. I've always been motivated. I've always been jazzed on what I do. I love what I do. I don't do it for the internet or for the like I do it for me, because it's been, obviously I've been doing this for a long time, and so like I don't need a lot of motivation anymore. Like I love the process. I love being in that process, and like, you know, I do use mantras. I work with a coach nowadays, and like I didn't start that until like my early 40s because I was like, wow, gosh, what am I gonna do to keep up with the young guys? You know, like so, like I started working with a coach probably 6 or 7 years ago, and that's been great for my life, for my physical output. And you know, and we go through worksheets and stuff, and like he's always like, hey man, like what's your mantras for the race? And I do go through that, and I think of some, and I'm not like super clever that way. But Alan, you and I discussed this, and like a couple of them that like one of them that really stood out, then that I used was work the problem.
Yeah, man.
And work the problem, I believe, comes from like SEALs or something like that. But anyway, like that was something that, like I said to that myself a few times, and
Can you explain that?
yeah, work the problem is like so it comes from like a Navy SEAL setting, and like it connected with me in a way of like, yeah, you're just always like working what your issue is. So like I had a lot of feet issues and bodies, so like what am I going to do to attend to that?
Mm-hmm.
What's the work I got to do for the issue? And like I don't like the word problem, but that comes from those people. And like I even used it with you, and I'm like, well, like how am I gonna like get up the Brenner? How am I gonna handle this situation? It was like, well, you gotta work the problem.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, it just makes you think about like, what do you need to do? What do you need to change? What's the strategy?
Mm-hmm.
What are the real physical things you need to do? What are the mental things? And what's the, you know, work the problem.
Yeah.
And I just really love that, you know.
Cool.
And you know, we've discussed like calm and the chaos before, and like I'm pretty good at that, and like there wasn't a lot of chaos, but like I'm way more calm and even keeled than I used to be when things get exciting. Whether it's the weather, you probably see me in that, and like just my casual attitude. I'm like, Brett, like when we were passing, I'd be like, and I knew he had like cheat sheet notes and stuff like that, and I didn't have anything. And like I don't care about mileage, like I just know it too well. And like I was just like, I was like, God, what's that dirt section? Is it like 100 miles?
100 plus miles, and I'm like looking at my notes. I'm like, it's 77 miles, but you know, I'll let him think me.
And like to me, I don't
And I
even
was like,
care.
Well, then I was like, what if I'm wrong? What if I wrote this down wrong? It's like, is it 100 plus miles? Oh my god.
To me, everything's 100 miles, or to me, everything's
segue.
like a day long.
Well, that was.
And so like I'm
kind of
very
branch off
like
from
so like nowadays I don't worry about that. And the same thing happens like when it's starting to rain. I'm like, oh well, it's raining. Okay, I'll deal with whatever when the mud comes in. Like I knew like that one night you were nervous wanting to get out of the mud, but like for me I'm just like, well, if I get shut down, I get shut down. And so it's like, but it's so much experience driven, and like I wouldn't have been able to do what I did. I wouldn't have had the result I had without my experience. Like Brennan was an amazing rider, strong, focused, disciplined, and so like that's hard to like challenge unless you're equal in those areas. And like I wasn't equal in those areas because my attitude's totally different now, but I got my experience, and like that makes up for all those like things. And so like very different but cool. I think a really cool comparison,
Yeah.
honestly. And like I don't know if that will happen again, and like that's why I think it's unique.
So we got a question coming live from Dean, and this is a little bit about something that you guys, although weather and situations may be different, mechanicals may be different, something that every cyclist and every endurance cyclist has to do is eat. So his question is, how many calories did you take each day, and talk about the menu? Great stuff, thanks. So maybe not calorie counters, but what are your go-tos? What do you eat, man? What kept you going? What didn't make you sick?
I thought
What
it was
worked?
crazy, 'cause
Yeah,
that was like another thing.
We're completely different. And
Yeah.
but you said you used to be like this with calorie counting.
Yeah.
So I was calorie counting.
Okay, you were.
Like
What were your
I was
calories?
like estimating how much time, based on, kind of loosely based on that 10 mile an hour kind of range, 350 calories an hour. So when I got into a gas station, like literally, I'd pick up my phone and I'd be like, okay, it's gonna be about 10 hours to get to the next resupply or whatever it was, and I'd multiply 10 by 350 into my calculator, and then as I picked up food, I would subtract from that calorie count how much I just picked up and put in my basket until I got to 0. And then
That's
and then I would always like,
That's so awesome.
then I
It
would
is
pick
awesome.
up like a bag of trail mix or
That's
something
just,
as
like,
like
so
insurance.
opposite.
Because like trail mix is like really calorie dense, doesn't take up a lot of
and
space.
good
Yeah, and
Nuts.
usually good.
with chocolate.
Yep, yep. So I would always have like 1,000 calorie insurance in case anything went wrong. And then like as kind of as much as I could palate, like add a resupply. So like, you know, like in Cuba we were at McDonald's, so like I grabbed a couple sandwiches and just scarfed those down. But like those were extra. I was always doing like.
So what were you eating though? What
was I eating?
Yeah. Give me a typical day's worth of consumption here.
Kind of a mix of. I try to like. I didn't go 100% vegetarian, but I try to go vegetarian. So I wasn't picking up like cold cut sandwiches. I had a few, but I try not to. So I was eating like trail mix, a lot of like muffins.
I've seen a lot of honey buns.
Yeah, those are too sugary. You know what's nice about those is like they're super easy to eat while you're riding.
Yeah.
Whereas like
They're slippery and wet.
Yep. But like a muffin is like nearly impossible to eat while you're riding without losing 3/4 of it to the trail. So I was picking up those honey buns because like they were just easy, but they're too much sugar, you know. So anyway, gas station pastries, muffins, trail mix, pretzels, like dried fruit, that kind of thing.
What are you drinking, other than water?
I would kind of the first half I was mostly water, and then like for whatever reason like I started feeling like I needed more like electrolytes, so I was kind of filling with Gatorade and then picking up water, like surface water, after those were gone on the trail.
How about you?
Take surface water?
Yeah,
A lot.
actually. And you didn't at all.
Zero.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Probably knows
Why
all
is
of the
that? Like,
spots.
Like, do you just?
How many ounces of water would you leave a resupply with?
There were probably 3 or 4 times, like once in the basin, and then 2 or 3 times in New Mexico where I left with 6 liters. But the entire rest of the ride, it was 2 liters.
Okay. Well,
I'm bigger than you.
Well, 2 liters. I mean, that's only 60-something ounces.
That's right.
So that makes sense.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
took surface water.
Yep, and I was counting on it, right? Like I was counting on surface water.
Yeah. So
And you never took surface water?
in
Not once.
7 times of the divide, I took surface water once.
Where?
I took it out of a running stream, like spring out of the side of the hill in Montana because it looked good, and I didn't even need it.
There's a lot of good-looking water up there.
Yeah, Montana has the best water.
It's so good.
And how
Monta's
much?
a great place to tour.
How much water are you carrying?
So I leave with about 130 ounces, and I'm good from section to section, and I never took surface water. And then as far as food goes, like I eat tons of sandwiches and burgers and real food. A typical, I don't count calories. I used to. I could show you some notes and years of drop bags, and I know the calorie count of every single bar that's out there, and 120 that, and 220 for Reese's, and I know a bag of trail mix is 1,200. Like I know all this. Like there again, it's experience, but like I used to do pretty big sugar diets back in the day. That was crazy, too much. And now, like honestly, like my body's become very efficient with both water and food. It's also become I'm very mentally confident with running out of food. Or water, like I'm fine without having food and water for 6-10 hours. Like I'm fine. I didn't have to do that, but I've done it before, so I have confidence with it. So I don't gotta leave with a lot of supplies. But I typically leave with 2 sandwiches, whether that's frozen stuff from the convenience store or a real hamburger grilled cheese from a lodge. 2 of those. I'll always have like a Red Bull on hand, maybe a Starbucks double shot, and then on top of the real sandwiches, I'll have like 2 to 3 like candy bars, a nut roll bar, something that has some sugar in it for the uplift, and then I'll have like a bag of trail mix because that's good substance as well. And then I do like kind of something soft because the jaw gets tired, so I do start to incorporate muffins and things like that. But like, as Brennan was saying, like he wants to eat on the bike. Like I get that. It's like a time savings, and like I was that guy. But like, I'm the guy now that like, I stopped to eat food. Like I don't eat a lot of food while riding anymore. Like I'll go 3 hours, I'll stop, pull my shorts down, air out my crotch, eat sandwich,
This is a picture it, folks.
and then just like, you know, do some stuff, oil my chain, just kind of stretch my legs. I had to take my socks off a lot because of my feet, so like it gives me a break. So like I'm the old man that wants to take like a 10-minute break, and like I'm fine with that anymore. It's okay.
So chill.
What was your best or most memorable meal, and maybe what was the crappiest meal you had on the Divide?
You know, like in Pie Town,
I made a super memorable meal.
I shared a meal with this guy. Huge asshole.
And he smelled.
He was out there riding. I think he was just touring.
Touring pace, 10 miles an hour.
Yeah,
Touring.
chilling.
He was kind of stinky.
So chill. It was super annoying. I was having like a really tough day going into Silverthorne. Like for whatever reason, like I had a tough day.
We came off of, we got a little rain on or something.
Yeah, we like
At the bottom.
just got past.
When we were in the pavement, we got yep.
Just got past
That
like,
last one.
whatever that passes. I was having a tough day, and I don't know if that was mental or whatever. Like that was where I quit, last time.
Right.
But I got into Silverthorne. I went to a Chipotle, and I got a veggie burrito, and I was just like,
Boom.
it just was so good, and I felt so good after that. So that was my best. And
That's awesome.
I don't know if I had any like bad ones. I mean, like lots of bad gas station food, but you just get tired of that over time. Pie Town was awesome just because like we were hanging out and like
Totally.
a bunch of pie, and we got a ton of food.
Ton of food and good food.
Yeah, great food.
How about you,
Good food
Jay?
out there. Like, Pie Town was definitely like a good memorable moment, hanging out with Brennan. It was like, and Pie Town in general is just like, it's a cool point to get to. The vibe's good. It's kind of famous. Going to the Toaster House. I have so many familiar places on that. It's hard to say a best one because I had so many this year. Like, honestly, this year, like it became like really fun for me to like stop at all the lodges that I'm familiar with to have a meal. Like one of my best places to stop is like actually in Buffalo Valley before Togety Pass in Wyoming, and it's Buffalo Valley Lodge Cafe. And I don't know why, but like it was a signature breakfast for me in 2007.
That's, like, right after Fleecer Ridge.
No, it's in Wyoming after the pavement.
Oh, sorry, Wyoming.
After Grand Teton National Park.
Oh.
And then you turn
I
into
didn't
what's
know
called
that.
Buffalo Valley before you pick up the dirt, before you go up to Togety.
Okay.
But there's a couple of ranches down there, and they're dude ranches.
Okay.
But one of them's a cafe, and like I know that, and I've had signature meals there before, and I was able to have breakfast there, and like I was looking forward to that. Like I wanted that probably a day or two before. Like, oh, I hope I get to have breakfast at Buffalo Valley Cafe. And so like it's hard for me because I compare so much from previous runs, and I just honestly I had like a really fun time this year.
Awesome.
And it's amazing for me to know so many people and to have the experience I've had. I just feel so lucky and fortunate, but every time I do this ride, like I just there's so much more that settles in, and I get so much more comfortable. I'm very comfortable in my space out there, and it was like really fun. And I was making a point to like find a couple of new places that I haven't visited yet, and I did have a couple of those, which was awesome. So like, and I don't know if I had any bad meals. Like,
Yeah,
it's hard to have a bad meal. If you're eating, it's like good.
True.
That's good. So we've got a live question. Michael Foster asked, any shout outs to people, places, or shops that helped, he said before or during the race? But it sounds like for you, Jay, you did had a couple. Brendan, do you like something sticking out? Did somebody come up,
it's
some
so,
trail
like,
magic, something
Yeah.
that just stuck out?
I mean, it's hard to like give like very specific shout outs. I mean, it's like I've had so many, and like there's so many great people in that corridor and on that route that just want to help riders. Honestly, it's like to give someone a certain amount of credit. Yeah, we all love Kirsten at Bush Mountain Lodge. What an amazing experience that we both had there. And what about Jeffrey Sharp at the finish, Southern Terminus? Amazing experience there. Picks us up, boom. At the start, you have Cricket that's like helping organize this particular year with shuttles and all that. What an amazing experience there. And like all the in between, and then all the beforehand. Like gosh, like it would. I would feel I'd be gypping somebody if I was to give somebody something specific, whether it's within my sponsor range or on the route range or community affairs or people like you guys sitting here documenting this for other people to see. Like specifically, no. A lot, yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Right.
For
And
you,
my wife is like my biggest one, right? You fucking
yeah,
kidding
T
me?
race.
T-Race!
Well, for you, you know, second time on the route, so some of these people might stick out a little
Well,
more.
I agree with everything you said, and it's hard to because so much. I mean, like every time I race a bike, tour on a bike,
And every day there's love out there.
yeah, it's awesome. It was so-
Random.
shout out to everyone touring north, like going north. Like
That was awesome.
it was so cool. Like I stopped and talked to almost everyone that was touring, coming north.
Cheers.
You know, unless I was like descending really fast, then I was like,
Totally.
I'm not stopping. But
So many
but-
touring cyclists
But
out
like
this
it
year.
was so cool to talk to because
So
like
cool.
it was kind of envious. It was like you guys get to go to all the breweries and have campfires and like, but like man, like I'm so stoked for those people. Like you're just out like right, like that's so fucking awesome. I love that.
And like it was really cool to see, like to be able to see so many people touring, and then like the demographic of people touring, like anything from like a young single woman to like an older couple,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
everyone in between.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
it was the most I've ever seen. And like when I would talk to the lodges, like I always like I ask those questions because I'm always curious because I'm just like a dork like that. Oh, how many cyclists have you come through? And like hearing like the response of, oh man, we already had a lot of cyclists through. And I'm thinking like, this is June. This is kind of early. Like you guys are gonna have a rad, awesome year.
Yeah.
And I know cyclists buy a lot of food and spend money. And like I am happy for you. Like,
That's cool too. Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
and
for
like I
businesses.
love that. Like because last year was tough. Like and those type of communities
Yeah,
suffered
for sure.
last year from
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Like absolutely.
Absolutely.
So just
Yeah, they rely on
really, really refreshing after last
Yep.
year.
I'll make it. I'm gonna make a shout out
Do it!
specifically. So in Whitefish, Cricket at Whitefish Bike Retreat put me in touch with A7 Cycles in Whitefish. Travis and Lynn, who run that. So I had a fork issue, and I needed to replace my fork, and it was like the Wednesday before the start, and I decided I needed to get a fork, and they were able to overnight one from MRP. And get one on Thursday, and like I went over there, met FedEx there basically, and they like basically just made that happen.
A7 Cycles.
A7 Cycles in Whitefish.
Whitefish.
Yep, they were huge. 'Cause
Sweet.
I may or may not have had a huge crash with a broken fork if it wasn't for them.
It's a
somewhere
comfortable
in the
fork, by
bike.
the way.
Yeah, as far
Yeah, the round tubes.
The
are
round
like
is very
super
compliant.
good
as far
for-
as rigid forks go,
it's comfortable
that's
fork.
probably the best.
I used to
on
use the
watch.
White Brothers, which is the same one. It's a,
Yeah, right.
It's
Yep,
round.
same
It's
thing.
it's amazing.
Yep.
When I looked at it, I was like, and I what like I just know.
You can see it.
Oh yeah,
You
it's
can
sick.
see it moving.
Dude, it's a
Yeah.
comfortable fork.
Yep. So shout out to them.
Boom.
And then two more in my personal life. I have to.
Yeah.
My ex-girlfriend came to pick me up at the finish with our dog.
That's clutch.
So she had an Airbnb set up,
So clutch.
Oh, boom.
Good for you, dude.
Yeah.
food ready.
Where'd
I'm
you
like,
go? Deming?
I don't know. Actually, it was 3 hours from the finish because
Okay.
like, there's nothing
Okay,
down
so
there.
farther than
Yeah,
Deming.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But
About Cruise or something.
wherever,
Yeah,
like we had
yeah,
an
sure.
Airbnb, like
Sick.
a place to go. So that was awesome. And then, and my best friend Craig, who's asking me if I'm single, he's married, and while I was on route, he had his second kid, Cohen.
That's sick.
So like,
Awesome.
I was communicating with him. Like I wasn't communicating with a lot of people, but I was communicating with him. So anyway, shout out to Cohen,
Awesome.
his wife Shannon, and Kelty. Love you guys.
Sweet. I know we're getting close to an hour here. I'm just having so much fun. Time's flying. There's
Cool,
there-
man. I
there-
mean, there's more
there's some.
whiskey and beer.
Well, we'll keep going. There's still a lot of people.
You better-
There's people tuned in, so we'll keep going. But I'm gonna start just kind of asking you more kind of yes or no questions, or
send
maybe
it.
stuff that it's. So we got James here, asking which, for each of you, which would you say was the hardest section or segment of the race, and I'll throw in both physically and mentally, and what stands out.
For me, it was the base. It was actually a section that should have been fast, and it wasn't fast because of the headwind. When it comes to weather, Out of 7 times, this is the most headwind I ever had, consistent headwind through all of it. So I think this would have actually been a record year. Could have been a record year. We had a great weather window, except the headwind was really high, and not just for a day or two, but probably for like the last week. From like about a week in, it kicked in up here on like a Wednesday when we were cutting through Lima, and so the section from Polaire. So I call that the going into Lima, Medicine Lodge Road.
And Old Bannock Road before
Old
that.
Bannock Road, Medicine Lodge Road. That's a big section.
Yeah.
Should have been fast, 15 for sure average, and it was 10 minus.
Yeah,
and
it was slow.
and like, you know, he made resupply, I didn't. I was fine with it, but whatever. But like, it was just a slow day. Like, I knew that, and I was just like, that bummed me out. So that was probably like, personally, knowing the route, like that was probably my hardest day. Knowing I could have been, this should have been an 8-hour day instead of a 12-hour, whatever it was.
I'm just gonna cheers Sally real quick.
Yo,
Sally, we
Sally!
feel like you're in the backyard with us here too.
And so, personally, that was like my worst section and favorite, whatever. So many.
Any different spots? Anything specific for you,
I
Brendan?
mentioned like going into Silverthorne, just whatever. Like,
Right.
just having a tough day that day, and then like.
There's 3 passes before that. It's hard to.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's like
It's Colorado riding.
It's
It's like
easy
not.
terrain.
Yeah, it's
you
not.
know, and
but
like
it's
I
still,
live in
But then you got Chipotle,
but
and then I got
and then you got the
Chipotle.
bike path to Frisco
Yeah,
and Brack, and then you're like, woohoo!
Woohoo! So I go there and Brack.
Yep. There was more wind there too.
Yeah. Best day.
Best day, other than the finish and all that. Like,
That was kind of a hard day too. That pavement sucks.
Terrible.
you know, people have actually been asking that.
It's horrible.
Do you look forward to the pavement at the end, or are you just
Hate it.
not wanting it after all the time on dirt and you hate it, huh? How about you?
I had like a little bit of like a cross / headwind, so
Oh, geez.
I hated
Yeah.
it pretty hard. I was like
Because you were doing the day.
there was some yelling involved during that section.
Oh, yeah,
like
you're-
after I
you're
saw
done.
you and Cheetah.
Yeah, you're done with it.
Yeah, I was just like, why? And like you do the calculate, like me, I don't know, like you're probably just all chill,
No.
but I was like calculating like how long until I was done. And it was like okay, like there's 20 miles left, and I'm going 10 miles an hour. I have 2 hours, and then like half hour later, it's like
You're actually going slower.
okay, there's 14 miles left, and I'm going 7 miles an hour. It's like still 2 hours. What the heck?
It's still it's like when minutes turn into hours.
Yeah, well, like we texted about it, and I was like, yeah, like counting down every 100th of
Fucking- That's the worst. Like,
Yeah.
I wish Jeffrey would just like plow down all those mile markers, because like literally, for you that don't know, like they count down the miles, so you're gonna watch 20, 19, 18, but like, you know, 10 minutes go by or 15 minutes, and you're like, oh, another mile marker, another, and like you don't even want to look at it.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah,
brutal,
I
dude.
know.
Dude, it's brutal.
It is, and it's hot, and it's
because she did fine.
it's slower than you think it's supposed to
Oh,
be,
it's
and
like-
yeah, it's brutal.
You just got done riding 24 hours.
When you get to the end, or when you're approaching the end, are you relieved to be done with it, or are you bummed that you know that you're gonna have to go back into real life and this awesome life you've been living for the last couple of weeks is over? Touch on that a little for us.
I mean, after thinking about this since 2015 for so long, I was like, just like, wow. Like I was just like, wow. Like I fucking did it. You know.
And you did, dude. You did, bro. And you too, old timer. Come on, 7-timer.
I was just. I mean, I cried.
Yeah.
Steph and Christy cried because she's been part of this story, you know, since 2015 for sure. I mean, she was there during the training and the race. And, you know, so we cried together and you know, touched the fence, and it was emotional. Mostly relief. Mostly relief. But yeah, it is kind of. I mean, you can probably talk about this more than I can, but like just kind of like the transitioning back into like it's a little weird, like going from like sleeping on the trail every night and like having, because like what I found like in racing, like multi-day racing in particular, like it's kind of meditative. Like you don't think about a whole lot else except, at least for me, like how much food am I putting in, how much sleep am I getting, like it's like really, really focused, and that's kind of what meditation is, like kind of like letting everything else go and just like focus on your breathing or whatever. So for me, like this type of racing is meditative, and then when you finish, it's like, okay, now I have to worry about everything else. So it is a little weird going back.
Yeah, it's absolutely strange. Even after doing as many events as I've done, every one of them has a pretty big impact on me. Every single one of them, and in a positive way. But I don't. And like Brennan was saying, it's very meditative. Like I don't practice meditation properly in my life. But I know people that do, and they're like, when we talk about it, they're like, do you meditate like with your riding? And like, I truly believe in that. And I'm glad someone brought that up to me, because like, I do. I feel like very in my own place and very comfortable and very focused in my riding. Like that's just how I ride. It's my style. It's what I like to do. And then afterwards, like you might have heard me say this before. Like I always get sad. It's over. Sorry to leave this life. I gotta go back to regular life. Not like my life is not hard by any means. I have a great life, great people in it, but it is a weird transition, which is like, you know, like I rented a car and drove home because I don't want to get on a plane. I don't want to check in with people. Like I don't want to engage with people that way. Like I'm not ready for that, and they're not ready for me. Honestly, my patience have been cut short. Like I'm like not ready to like deal with people, and I'm probably not going to be the person I should be. So I need to take a few days, and I drive home, and like it's awesome. Like I don't mind to drive it off. My mind is churning. Like I'm decompressing in my own self. I'm getting back to people. Like in this world we live in, like this thing is like absolutely bonkers, and people sending you messages, like it all builds up, but it also gives you time to answer to that and think about that before answering, and like you got to take that time. And with the busy life I live, like as soon as I walk in this door, and like if I like want to open up my computer, like that is over what I just did. Like I am now back in it, like right, like, and it's not bad. Like I said, like it's like great. Like yeah, I'm cutting the grass. I'm engaging with my wife. I love to see my wife and my animals, and like, but it's like back in it. And so you're not spending the time thinking about what you just did, which is very important.
So for this trip, sorry to interrupt, but just for this ride, you've done it so many times. What was your longest mileage for this trip and longest hours?
No idea.
No idea. Cruising.
Wouldn't know.
Okay.
I don't keep tabs on that stuff.
Okay.
And like I said, like, you know, he's been kind of like casual, Jay, and like whatever, but like I know I had some long days. Like my birthday was like super long, and I love that. Like I spent several birthdays on the Divide, and like it's a goal for me to like ride for 24 hours. I woke up late that day, so I didn't start riding until like 1 or 2 or whatever, but like I went long that day. I think I rode 25 hours on my birthday.
Well,
and that's like super, like that's awesome for me.
Yeah.
Or like the mileage I covered, I don't know. It was a lot, but I don't study that stuff anymore like I used to. It's like I go here from there. This is what matters.
Well, where'd you go?
I'm right here.
Where'd
That's
you,
what matters.
Where'd you start and where'd you sleep that day? Come on, I know you remember that.
Well, no, it would have been. It would have been. I slept on the ridge.
Yep.
I slept on the ridge, and then
Into the heel.
yeah, not only 20 miles short of Beaver, I had workstation. I made it far.
That's a big day.
Oh, it was huge, because like all
So
the way,
just before Grants, on
just
the, on
before
the,
Grants on the ridge, 20 miles short of Grants,
to
boom,
almost
down
to
into
Beaver.
Grants, then into Pie Town. We hung out. We rode that day. We rode the Mapais dirt section together, which was awesome. Mucked around right before Pie Town. We had a little mud deal. It only lasted 5 minutes though, and then from there, I kind of like definitely was like, I just had better legs that day. And Brad was like, "Wow, I hope, you know, I don't know if I'm gonna see you again." I was like, "Man, come on, buddy."
You're like yeah. You're like kind of like yeah, you got this.
Cause
I was
come
like,
on.
I was like, nope, see ya.
And I just knew I was gonna ride strong like after that, and like I did ride strong. And I rode into the night, and like I was just on my, like I was definitely having like
like I was definitely into like my own JP like go there situation. Like I wanted to ride hard the rest of the day, and I wanted to ride until I'd collapse, and that's what I did. And I only slept 2 hours that night because I knew like next day I'm done, and I knew how to handle the heel.
What about you, Brendan? Where were you? What was your longest day mileage? Was it in the first half, second half?
I think my longest day was in the basin. So I think I did like just shy of 200 that day. I don't know about hours. I don't think I was pretty consistent with sleep, so I don't think
That
I
would have
had
been a huge
like,
day for me because you were.
yeah, you had a couple big days to. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I had to pay attention, staying close.
Yeah, exactly.
But we had a great tailwind too. That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like that, like
That was
after
stellar,
organic,
dude.
like, and then having that tailwind was like kind of a relief. It was like, okay.
I was like, for all that headwind,
Yeah.
cool. I'm
Yeah.
thankful for this tailwind today.
Because you said when you had done it before, you like typically didn't make Rollins going
Nope.
through the basin that way, and
Nope.
we made Rollins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And beyond.
Yeah,
'Cause you slept
I
outside
went
town.
a little bit beyond, but you started in Pinedale that day.
Oh yeah.
I did not. I rode past Pinedale, so like
Yep.
you had a longer day than me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only went a little bit past Rollins.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because then I seen you in the morning. That was
Yeah.
like
That was
might have
when
been
we
the
saw each
first
other.
time. That might
Yep.
have been our first.
Yep. I was packing up
interaction
camp
past the
and
Rollins.
I was like, oh hey Jay.
And like I had no
Oh,
idea.
that's
Like I wasn't like that was kind of a goal of mine. Like I kind of like agreed that I wouldn't look at the tracker, but that wasn't the case. Like, but I wasn't looking at it much, which was kind of awesome because it allowed me to ride my own ride and not.
You didn't have to.
No,
Because I was ahead of you.
And then I would get
I was
feedback.
the only one ahead of you. And you, every time you got to a respawn, you're like, oh yeah, the other rider just came through, you know.
Yeah. So that's like.
It's because you had all your homies looking out for you everywhere you
They'd
went.
just be like, ah,
Their
yeah, Brandon was
feedback.
just in here. I'd be like, how long ago? He'd be like, 40 minutes. I'd be like, I'm good.
So with we talked our longest rides. Brendan, with doing a long mileage day, 200 or close to, did you pay for it at any point? What was your shortest mileage or shortest hours on the bike for a day? Because sometimes that happens.
Yeah,
Are
I'm
you
not
really
sure.
bad.
I had a, like, going over, after Breckenridge, you could go over Reyes Pass. Like, I had a longer sleep that night. I don't know what it ended up being for mileage or time the next day, but I had a long sleep that night, so that probably affected it. Like, I started late. On the after Berets.
After Berets?
Yeah.
It's really cool to see both you guys were just kind of riding by feel and not really buying into the, I got to do this many miles a day or I got to. I mean, I know you had sleep
Terrible.
goals.
I had
and stuff.
sleep goals, which
But
kinda
just-
relate to, like,
but just
hours
kinda
on the
doing your
bike,
thing,
but,
right?
But yeah, I mean, I wasn't stressed. Like I was never pushing to make a mileage or time goal. I was definitely like,
Had a-
okay, I can't
had
stay
a
awake
flow,
anymore, so time to go to bed.
So I chatted with Jay a little about this, and I just want to get into it for a second. You guys were both at the Brush Mountain Lodge at roughly the same time.
Yeah, I mean, we basically rode
in-
there together. And
And
stuff.
how was that vibe? Like rolling in there together and Kirsten, like.
Well, that was kind of funny. So we're riding together. We ride right over the border together, and then like Jay just takes off like a mile or two before Brush Mountain Lodge. I'm like, all right, well I guess I'll see him there or whatever. And I get there and like he's got laundry going. He's like getting out of the shower, and I'm like, you motherfucker. Like, you knew there was only one washer and dryer.
Tactics, right?
Yeah, tactics.
You knew that, and I was like, all right, whatever. And like, it was really cool hanging out there. Like I said this like in other places, but like on my cue sheets, which Jay did not have cue sheets or notes or anything, but I had notes on everything, and like I had like mileage, elevation, Brush Mountain Lodge, and like all it said was Kirsten hug ! Like I was just
Boom.
stoked to get there, and I'd only met Kirsten once in 2000, but I knew like she gives a hug. I'm stoked for that hug. So that was cool. And like we hung out there for a bit. We both did laundry, both got a shower and shaved or whatever.
What say you, Jay?
I mean, that's my gig, Like,
Well, before you go, I gotta say, true gentleman. He left before me because I was still doing laundry, but he slowed up and let me catch back up again. So he didn't completely screw me there. He was, you know.
I didn't attack after I left.
Yeah. You didn't.
No, like going into there, like I knew, like we turned onto the road. I know it's a climb. It's like it's actually longer than you think. It's like a 10-mile climb up to the lodge.
I love that.
More or
climb.
less, it's like
It's such a
it's great
peaceful,
climb,
good
and,
grade.
and
fun
like
climb.
honestly, like that's my first time riding with Brendan.
Yeah.
So like Jay's like strategy stuff is and like trying to learn about Brendan's kicking in. Like I'm trying to understand how he rides. And then like honestly, like I didn't take off because like I wanted to necessarily be there first to do my laundry. I put more pressure on the pedals to see where your legs are at.
Okay.
That was why
Interesting.
I did that. Like because I know it's a sustainable climb. It wasn't like I didn't do that a mile or two before because like it was more like 5 or 6 miles before.
Okay.
And I was like, all right. And so like let me put more pressures on the pedals and see how Brendan reacts.
What'd you think? Like, because I let you go. You know,
Yeah,
At some point.
yeah,
Maybe
so-
we were pushing a little bit for a while.
Yep.
But at some point, I was just like, I'll just see him there.
Yep.
Like, what were you thinking? At that
So
point?
then like I was like, okay, let me put some pressures on the pedals, and then I was like, so then I like start to do that, and then like I'm not a person that looks back right away, but I gave it like 10 or 15 minutes, and then I like look back and I'm like, huh. Either like he just was like whatever, or he didn't have the legs to kind of stay. So like I'm trying to figure out where your legs are at is all.
Okay.
Where you're at in the race. 7 days in,
Yeah.
how strong, like what's the strength like, and like you can only test that on a hill.
Yeah.
And so like I did that up there. That's a perfect climb to do that on, honestly. And so then I was just like, well, Rick, I'm just gonna keep pushing it because like at this point, like that's good for me because I can get in and do my laundry and do that
then you were
stuff. And then I knew, but like I knew, like before I even turned, like I knew I was gonna stop there. Like Kirsten's
I
a
don't
good
know where
friend of
you
mine.
are.
Like I see her throughout the year. We talk. Like I knew there would be people there. I knew Jeff Fox was there. He already told me he was gonna be there with his kid, and like, and I just knew. I didn't know Stremke's were gonna be there, but like,
that's a good one.
it's a good vibe to hang out in. And so like, that's where I'm doing my laundry. I only carry one chamois. I knew you carried 2, and like, I'm gonna, and it's like, she knows my program because I've done it. Because so as soon as I walk up, she's like, "What's your deal?" And I was like, "Same as always: laundry,
shave.
shower, shave, pizza, chill for a few. I'm out."
Mhm.
And so like, so that's just what happened. I'm
Yeah.
immediately in the shower, doing laundry, and then I'm sitting there, and like by the time I was out of the shower, I was like, and then I knew like, and so it was like you came in like 15 minutes after me. I was like, huh, and like so then we just hung out and chilled, and then like I wasn't gonna leave and attack her. I was just like, I'm leaving because like, dude, I just had 2 beers. If I have another beer, I'm gonna be drunk.
Yeah, I was like,
And so like it was like I just needed to leave there before I got too effed up, and so like too comfortable, honestly. So then just rolled up the road, and then when we seen each other, then we rode together for a while again.
yeah, until Clark or something. Like that.
Yeah, and then I peeled off and
Yeah,
said,
you peeled
I
off.
want my do my work here.
Yeah.
Which was like an interesting. That was actually a hard night. A hard night.
So Jay, in chatting with you over the years, you've shared with me sleep strategies. You've got this sleeping skirt that you'll jump in and ride on the bike with. And as you've gotten older, you've changed your sleep pattern a little bit. On this particular trip, what was your best night of sleep and where? And what was your worst?
I had some good sleeps because I stayed in some lodges and some cabins. So I had some decent ones, but honestly, like Brennan was pushing me enough where I had to skimp on sleep. So like, but I'm okay with that anymore. Like it doesn't affect me like it used to. Like, which is kind of weird in itself.
So were you bringing a sleeping pad, or you're just laying on the
No, no
ground?
pad.
No pad.
No pad.
So
Sleep
those
on
are
the dirt.
and that's not your worst night's sleep, sleeping without a pad.
No, honestly, it's my best night's sleep. I come home and sleep in my bed, and I can't sleep in my bed anymore.
Wow.
My back is like curled up, and I gotta sleep on the floor.
Wow.
Yeah, so like I am fine.
Crocodile Dundee over here.
Like I am fine sleeping on like the ground, and like there's a certain way I lay my bike out and I put my feet up on my bike. It's a very like I have my system for sleeping on the ground and putting my feet up
You
and
put, your,
resting.
you put your feet on the bike.
Oh yeah, and I get the blood out and like my knees and like I throughout the few hours of the night that I'm resting, like if they get like cramped up, I might put them straight, but then they end up back up on the bike again to elevate. And there's a certain way because I can reach everything when my bike is right there. And so like I'm not like trying to deal with a bike that's over here. It's like it's all right here in front of me.
So we saw a post you posted of an Airstream. That wasn't your best night's sleep?
No, because I probably stayed in a better bed somewhere else.
Okay, gotcha. But no pad, sleeping on the ground. You lay down for a few
I had
hours.
some good counts. Like this was like an awesome year for me to like do different stuff, which I'd love to do. And
Yeah.
like I was in bed by 8 o'clock on more than one occasion, and it was awesome. And I was riding by midnight on more than one occasion, and the strategy of it was awesome for me.
Perfect. What about you,
There's
Brendan?
a scale. Like I'll tell you some strategy. You guys can learn a lot from this. I'll give you some
Here,
JayP.
keep drinking the whiskey.
Yep. Here you go. You want some secret stuff here? There's a scale called a sliding scale throughout the evening. When are you gonna sleep? It's gonna happen. When are you gonna do it?
But
Where
when's
are you
the
gonna do
when's
it?
the optimal time?
When is the optimal time? Like, you will not. It's a rare occasion that I will push through a night. The minute I slow down or I don't feel good, I try to figure out where I'm sleeping. I don't care if it's 7 o'clock or 1 in the morning.
So you kind of go with that momentum when your body's telling you it's time to
As
lay
soon
down.
as I start to like see my speed slow down, I don't feel good, something's not right, but rest up, dude. Fire yourself back up in the morning.
And you don't worry about like if it was a short day or whatever. You just
It's not a short day.
It's still
Because the
4
day is
hours.
still going, and then you will wake up and your day is still continuing. How do you?
There are no days.
How do you look at your day? I don't look at the clock. I don't care what day it is.
So you're just like a
don't care
Las
about it.
Vegas casino. No windows, no day, night. You just,
Exactly.
when it's time to sleep, you listen to your body sleep. Boom, boom, boom.
That's it. I've spent enough time sleep riding, crashing while riding, working through Sleep Monster. It's all very inefficient riding. In the grand scheme of it all. And if you want to break it down to a 24-hour period, but I don't even do that anymore, look at your 24-hour period. How are you going to maximize that 24 hours? If you screw up and are like pushing through the night and stumbling and pushing your bike and falling asleep for 2 hours, that's inefficient 2 hours. If you slept before that and started crushing it, like, how does that pan out in the end? Again, chess game.
Okay, so we've heard from the veteran, Brendan.
What was the question?
Well, best night of sleep and worst night of sleep, and sort of what a little bit about what your kit was. Were you blowing up a pad? Did you have closed cell foam? You know, what were you doing for a night of sleep to get a good night?
I had a shorty blow up pad.
Okay.
With firm rest.
Did it last you? Was it the Arrow?
It was good. I don't remember the model.
Did it go flat?
Never went flat.
Okay. So you when you were on the ground, you were blowing up a pad, getting in a bag, a quilt.
Yep, quill, and
Okay.
then also firm rest, and then a big Agus biggie.
Did you use
Okay.
it, Bibby?
Every night.
You got in it? Not too hot?
A couple times, but it's like a 4-season bivy, so it has a net.
Okay.
So,
So
I can
get
so I can
some
I can
venting?
I can leave the waterproof part off, and it's open on top, like all the way down to my knees.
Oh, fully. Oh,
But
okay.
it has the bug net, so I
Gotcha.
don't get eaten by mosquitoes.
Were you able to cycle in whatever cycle of sleep or time you were sleeping? Did you feel like you were getting some quality Z's during that time to get back on the bike, or
Yeah,
was it
for the most
more
part.
you were?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean it catches up to you at the. I mean it caught up to me at the end. And in part, like I had the one night like after grants, like sleeping like 2 hours, and like that was the day we were going to Pytown, and I just felt kind of awful, and but for the most part, I was like pretty consistent with like 5 hours ish every night, and that worked well for me, just being consistent. And yeah, I don't know. Best night was like just like whatever, like random. Like for whatever reason, I slept like really well after Atlanta. Like I was just like, kind of out there and slept really well. And then worst night was actually like the night that I said after Boreas Pass. Like I was in
I
a
didn't
bivy
have
for a
a
long
night that
time.
night.
It was cold. Like
Was it full moon?
I went down early and I
It
went
might
down
be
in
closer.
town. I went down in that town at the bottom.
It's like on a 4%.
Yeah. Fire station. Like I know all the little
Yeah,
spots.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Yeah, I had I was in the bivvy for 8 hours, but I didn't. But I was like tossing and turning. I was cold. Like
That's
I
right,
slept
because
up
I
high.
passed you, I guess, but I don't even know where. Like that was like one of those like transitions through the night where like,
Well,
everyone goes to bed who's watching track leaders and it looks like Brandon's ahead, but then everyone wakes up in the morning and then all of a sudden Jay's ahead.
I think that happened a lot.
No,
when you
it
look
did,
back
which
at
is
it,
cool.
It was like we passed each
Which
other
is-
in the night. Like
That is so
Yeah,
cool, but like that was
yeah.
one of those nights. Like I had no idea because like there again I wasn't looking at the tracker a lot or whatever. Like I just woke up and like was on my deal. It was like short sleep, a few hours, whatever. I leave and like I knew if I got to Hartsdale, like
Yeah,
because there again like I know breakfast at Hartsdale is killer. And they open at 6 a.m. Like and I was there right at 6:30 and I was like, fucking clutch, nailed it. And then I finally like that's where I finally looked and I was like, oh shit, I passed Brent again, but he's like whatever back, you know, like that was kind of an interesting moment
no, I
because like then you caught up to me when we were
training post.
after Marshall Pass and down into
Sergeant.
Sergeant.
That's right.
I was sleeping in the cabin. That was
You were
like a
in the
night I
cabin.
went 7:30.
And all the employees.
7:30.
Like, super
Oh, that's a
shady.
lot of daylight left.
Oh, party foul, beer down. All right, switching gears real quick. Mechanicals. Let's talk about gear and kit. Brendan, any mechanicals on the trail?
The only thing I had was, the derailleur that I have on that bike has just got a ton of miles riding in snow in the winter and like crappy roads and all that kind of thing. So it just has miles on it. So I probably should have either replaced
Spring was a
it
little
or
loose.
Pulleys?
The pivots started to like not. They weren't moving freely as they should. So as I would go into the smaller cogs, like your derailleur kind of goes from like in the biggest cog, the one closest to the spokes, like it's like way out like this, and then when you go into the smallest cog, it retracts, and it does that to maintain chain tension. And going into the smaller cogs, it wasn't retracting all the way, so I was getting the chains bouncing all over the place. And I got into Lima and bought some PB Blaster and sprayed all the pivots, and it was flawless in there. That was the only thing I had.
That's it.
That's it.
Nice.
Not even a flat tire.
No flex.
Awesome.
Jay?
Yeah, zero mechanicals, zero flats, everything was smooth.
And you guys were both rocking the same tires, the Mescals?
Yep. Yeah, he was on 2.1s.
Yep.
I was on 225s, but yeah, these guys. Great tire.
Interesting. Anything in your kit that was a waste that you wouldn't take next time, or was there anything that you really missed that you wish you had?
Nothing I missed. It's funny because it's so weather dependent, and it's like you bring stuff maybe like just in case, right? And like so like for whatever reason, I just didn't use my wind, like full length wind jacket that much. Like I used it maybe once or twice, and that was just because like it was warm and I had my vest and like with my arm warmers that was enough. But I don't think I would leave it behind if I was doing it again, just because who knows when we get filmed next time.
Favorite piece of kit while we're on talking with you? The thing that you this is whatever it is that you like, bring along, adds comfort, go to, head to toe, or in your bike.
My vest, which is actually it's like this. It's a smart wool, like it's like insulated in the front, and then it's like it's like just like merino wool back that breathes really well. So it blocks the wind up front, but it breathes in the back. And actually, I use the same vest. It's like if you look at it up close, it's got all these tears in it, and like I bought a sewing machine like recently, and like I had to replace the zipper this year, but like I'm still rocking it.
Love it.
And yeah, that thing's awesome. I ran it in 2015.
But it takes you through such a range of temps and weather.
Exactly. Like you can kind of open it up when
Yep.
it gets a little bit warmer, and then eventually you take it off. But like, you start out in the morning with it, and you can ride that thing because you can unzip it, it breathes in the back. You can ride it for 5-6 hours before you have to take it off. Yeah, that thing's awesome.
All right, Gear Master Jay.
Jay.
Yeah, no, I describe these events as like bringing a mountain kit. Like you need to bring a mountain kit. and you might not use everything you have, but like you're high in the mountains, it can get cold. Weather is everything. We were super fortunate for our year. I used pretty much most of all my kit, but I didn't. I probably could have skimped, but I wouldn't. There again, bring the mountain kit. Like you can't mess around. You don't want to get pinched. It's a 2-week race. I know anything can happen. If you want to see my kit in person, like actually Alan, Dirty Keith, and I, we just did a full breakdown. So kind of look for that down the road here, but super detailed. It's everything I carried. You guys know I have no secrets. I'm super open. Like whatever, I share it and like take a look at that down the road. But hopefully it helps you. I don't recommend it all to you. You guys figure it out.
Perfect. Well, we have a live question from Andrew, kind of along with the kit, and we'll start with Brendan for this. Navigation, what was the device you use or devices, and also sort of along with that, your lighting and battery power. What are you a dynamo guy? Are you recharging battery things? So just kind of go with what's your cockpit, your lights, and your navigation stuff.
Navigation primary was an E-Trex, a 20X, I think. So
E-Trex 20.
20. Yeah, it doesn't have the
Color?
internal compass, so you have to like be moving to see which direction.
Okay,
But,
yep,
like, I never
yep.
found that super limiting. So that's why I run for like my primary.
And that's a
I have-
AA battery.
That's right.
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
And then I have a Garmin 830 as like I'm recording my data because I like to do that. And that was I had broken up GPX tracks as backup, and I use them once in a while just because like sometimes like in the morning, at night, around dusk, like the 830 just tends to like be easier to see. So I would load the track just to be able to see it at those times, but I always had the E-Trex running as like my primary.
Okay.
And then power was coming from a Sun Dynamo,
Okay.
and running that into a sine wave beacon light, which has the charging circuit built into it, so it has a USB output. And that USB output I had run into a voltaic cache battery. I think it was like 6,400 milliamp hours or whatever size, and that has 2 USB outputs on it. So you're charging.
No, I'm just.
Would you?
Well, that's cool because it's redundant too. Like if one port goes out or fails, you've got potential in another
it's
port.
nice to be able to like charge a couple things at once. I find.
Was that changed? Was
It's
that
a
modified?
different mind or different? It's a different like mindset that I have.
Okay, I'll be interested to hear yours. Yeah.
So will I.
Yeah,
What
on
is
the
your
video, on the
mindset,
video.
Mr.
So
J?
as soon as I heard like how he was reading it, how he was feeding his son into a cache that also split into a dual USB, that's what I found interesting. So one, it was kind of funny this year. Like I'm definitely an E-Trex user, AA battery. That's my heart and soul. That's what I've been using for years. I'm not a big fan of like internal battery stuff. Well, guess what? This year I only brought my 830 internal battery, and right before the race, Alan was there. Like I took my E-Trex off my handlebars and said, "I'm not bringing this."
Well, we loaded we loaded the
Reloaded
track
Gaia.
on the
I
guy
was
on
like-
your phone just in case.
I was like, Alan, what is that? I was like, this is ridiculous, dude. Like, I've done this thing how many times now? I have maps in my backpack. Maps. I have the map pack. Maps?
Did you carry maps? No maps.
Wait until you see how big the maps are. I had
Carry-
maps because I'm old school. Like, I love maps.
Analog.
They take up
maps.
a lot of space and they're big, but I carried them. But then, like, right before the event, I was like, Alan, like, this is, like, ridiculous. And so, like, he's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I was like, I have the 830, the E-Trex. He's like, you have your phone too. I was like, yeah, I have my phone. So we loaded up like Gaia before, and so I ditched my E-Trex. Crazy.
But you kept the battery. You
And
still had backup
I've been,
AA
like, preaching
batteries.
this forever. Don't use that shit. You only use an E-Trex. So here I am. Ditch my E-Trex. Use my 830. Have everything loaded on Gaia. I love Gaia for the phone. But like, I just know it so well, and like, I'm just so comfortable. Like, I don't need that data, honestly. But I love using my 830 because it's got the climbing screen.
feature.
That is
And I just love some of the data that's on there nowadays. I've turned into a dork for sure. I didn't run power or heart rate monitor, which I typically do in my training, but like I just love some of the features of that. So I did use my 830, and that was it. Didn't really look at it much, but I did use it, and I ran it, so it did upload everything. HX went home, didn't use that. Had maps, opened them up a few times. And then when it comes to charging, I also run a Sun, laced to an Industry 9 carbon wheel. Thank you for those guys for doing that. And then basically, I don't think a Dynamo hub is capable of putting out a lot of electricity per se. So I only want it to do one thing. So it's either the light at night, and I use the K-Edge light.
K-light.
K-light. K-Edge is what I said.
K-edge mount
Yeah,
with a K-light light.
The K-light. So I use the K-light, which is awesome. And then I have it built with a very simple switch. It's either on light or it's on USB. And I only use one USB. I would never split that, because I don't think the power coming from the hub is enough to share to try to charge two different things, even through a cash battery. So basically, I only plug in direct, and I'd plug in direct to my Garmin 830, which kept that up and going. And every once in a while, I would have to plug into my phone if it got down below like 15%. But other than that, my 10,000 would keep my phone going, or even like I carried a GoPro this time, which maybe there's something good on there. And so I was like trying to feed the GoPro. Usually I don't deal with that. I tried dealing with that this time. That was another thing in my deal. But like, that's all I use it for. So I just want direct power all the time.
But you were charging your cash battery in outlets.
And then
Yeah.
and I also run DI2, which is also electric. But like the Tour Divide route, like, don't get fooled. It's not that remote. You do come across towns, lodges. There's plugs. There's plugs outside of gas stations, outside of dollar store. Like, so like it wasn't a problem for me to like top off my DI2 or top off my back, if you consciously think about it. Right? And especially like, I honestly like at this point like know where I can plug in.
Yeah, sure.
So like, you know, like immediately at Kirsten's, I was charging everything. And like I made it to Kirsten's without plugging in anywhere.
Okay. All right. So you were running off the Dynamo for the first 1,200 miles.
Yeah, and I have two batteries for my DI2.
Yeah.
And I have this. So for 7 days, like, so like nowadays when I do events that are less than like 7-ish days, if they're not remote, I don't use Dynamo.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Like that's out.
Yeah, you don't
like
need it.
for me, I'm like, nope, I want a lighter wheel and save the 3 watts.
Yeah, 3 watts.
And besides that, like get rid of these cords and this nonsense, because it's more management. People don't realize, like, people that run that, like, there's management there. Plugging things in, plugging things on it, and like running it. How do you run the wires? Like, I see a lot of people that like kind of like blow it in that world.
Yeah, you gotta test it.
Yeah, and you gotta like manage it right. Like, if you look at my gear video, you see how like I run specific cords and then carry extras, because like
you have
I don't want to like be like routing cords and running stuff. Like, I run a dedicated cord to my Garmin, and I will never touch that cord because I have another cord that I like plug in when I'm at the gas station. I mean, and all that stuff is like what adds up to like do what we do at the level we do.
Yeah. So I only plugged in once to a wall.
And that's awesome.
That was in Pytown, because we were hanging out there a while, and I saw you plugged in, and I was like, oh, I might as well.
Right, I did see that.
But I never had to. And like, so basically, I always had the cash battery plugged into the side with beacon. So
that was always up.
It was always, and that circuit's always on when the lights on or not.
And maybe I need to try that more, but it's just like like, call me old school, but I've been so hesitant with technology, and it's taken me a long time to like really like move into that space.
It's funny though, like.
But I see the younger guys that are just like, that's all they're like, oh, I need my technology and I need my bot, and I'm just like.
But you say that, but like, you're also working with brands to like push their technology, and like you fully adopted DI2, so like it's not
No, for sure.
That's some old fart.
No, not at all. Not at all. And DI2 is great, and that battery system is awesome because like it actually charges very quickly. Like
Yeah,
you would be
it's helpful.
surprised, like what you can get out of like a 20-30 minute charge just like by plugging in your DI2.
You're mechanical
Like,
on
it
your
was
one.
awesome.
You were running run by SRAM.
Yeah,
Or-
2 different drivetrains.
One by
huge.
Shimano.
Oh, one by
With
Shimano.
a 32.
Mechanical.
32 tooth.
What
And I'm
cassette?
running
What
like a
cassette were you
30,
rocking?
46.
1146.
So you had an 1146, 30 tooth, 32 tooth,
32 tooth.
32
chain ring.
tooth,
Yep.
and you had the double.
And
Well,
I- and
we're
I'm
gonna
running-
get all into that in another video.
And I'm
We're
running
gonna-
3046
Yeah, I'm
with
gonna-
an 1142.
yes. Well, we've got
Like
that.
massive
We've
difference.
got that in another video. But
Yeah,
yeah,
especially
Similar-
with
big-
big
big-
flats and stuff.
big
Similar
difference.
Low gear. Similar low gear.
Yes.
Yep. But you had a lot more top end.
Yeah.
Which
Interesting.
shows that you were
Interesting.
high
Quoted
gains, but
saying
also
when you can make
moving, but
time
you- to
with
keep where you were
tailwind,
that
downhills,
close.
and flats, you got to do it.
What's that? Say it one more time.
Whenever you can make time on tailwind, downhill, and flats, you got to do it.
True.
Big ring.
I don't know if I agree with that. But I mean, you were faster through the basin with the tailwind, mostly, rollers, but most a flatter day. Yeah, you
It
definitely
depends
caught
on
up.
a riding style.
Yeah, that's true. It probably
It depends on
the person.
cadence. No,
Yep,
it
yep,
does.
Yep.
Like I know
Yeah,
that.
'cause I know, like
I'm not a spinner. Like I want to push 60 to 70 cadence in the high gear.
Yeah, and I like pushing the climbs, and then like I'm okay chilling on the downhills and the flatter sections. Yeah.
So we got 2 bikes right here. You guys ready to do a little drag race?
No, but you want to throw some horseshoes?
Crit race.
I'm not, we're gonna get the horseshoes in a minute. I think we need to wrap this video up. We need to wrap this video up and get to the
Drag
horseshoes.
style, like, dude, we'll end all of this with a game of horseshoes.
Well, that's.
I threw last night, dude. But
I know. I saw you. You're getting warmed up, dude.
oh gosh.
All right. So just a couple things. I mean, we're.
Yeah, this was awesome.
I feel like we're getting pretty deep into it.
Yeah, we don't want.
I'll go all night because I'm a geek and so's Gary. I know, but we can keep geeking. A couple more questions, and we'll wrap it up. I guess one thing everybody wants to know is what was your finish times, both of you?
I wouldn't even know.
Okay, you don't know. It's written somewhere.
You don't?
Nope. I don't know a single time I've ever finished anything.
Well, I know going into it, your goal was to finish on your birthday, was it not? Yeah, your goal was to finish on your birthday, 13 something, but it was a little longer. What's up? All right, so you don't know your finish time. You know your finish time. I know you know your finish
I
time.
know it exactly.
What is it?
15 days, 2 hours, and 15 minutes.
So what? And you probably know Jay's
I
time.
don't know down in the minute, but you were like 14 days and 19 hours and something.
So what is that? 6 hours, ish
Yep.
difference.
Yep.
Did you get-
a little over 6
People
hours.
ask,
Yeah.
like, or like, ask me. Like,
It's
like,
2
oh,
tiers
how
in a
much
month.
did he finish behind? I'm like, I don't know. If it was
Either way.
Matter, I got first
It
place.
doesn't matter.
So you guys didn't see each other at the finish.
No,
I
but we
saw him
see
in
each other.
Cheetah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where
Oh, with
the
Jeffrey.
photo came from.
Yeah, that was
That's-
so cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I was in the bathroom and I came out and you were there with.
Jeffrey.
You were standing behind him at the
Southern
urinal.
Terminus
Yeah.
Trail taker.
And Thomas.
Tomas?
Yeah, Tomas. Yep.
Thomas.
Yep. He gave me a ride to
Yep,
Tucson
and he
that
took
night.
the photo.
Workout.
Yep.
Thank you
Yep.
so much.
Rad dude, like rad folks. Kudos to freaking Jeffrey Sharp and Tomas for being there. And like, yeah, we've seen each other basically when, what's that, 30 miles from 45 from Hachita, which was like super cool because I didn't like know what Brennan's plans were. Like we kind of touched base on it, but we never really discussed it.
Oh, like
before-
the finish.
Yeah, at the finish, so,
Yeah,
like, which
that's
is something like
logistics,
I was like interested in discussing. Like, hey, dude, like, what's your plan? Is someone picking you out? And I know some people, so just like trying to figure that out. But then when I seen Brendan and Hachita, which was awesome, like I finished whatever a few hours early in the morning, and there's a house there in Hachita that I stayed at, and then when Brendan was rolling through there, like, dude, let's like roll out there and
Nice.
see Brendan,
Yeah, that was cool. That was
and
awesome.
like
Fun.
awesome, and like cool, like what do you need or whatever. And then that's when Brendan said, well, dude, my like lady's coming out, whatever. And I was just like, oh, sweet, cool. So that was like actually the last time we've seen each other.
Got
Otherwise,
it.
I would have definitely been at the border, but like he was taken care of, so
Yep.
cool. Like
Nice.
make sure your brothers are taken care of. Move on.
So 2 last things. 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 2 ailments. Everybody wants to know about saddle sores. Obviously, Jay, we heard about your feet. Any ailments that you
Do you
had
wanna
on
see
the
'em?
route? Well, maybe in a second. I don't know.
We'll do our own
You
video
just
on that
scare
one.
us.
On that rash.
Anything that you had? Let's start with Brendan.
Bro.
That ailments you had, or you're still dealing with? How are you feeling now? It's been, over a week. What was getting you on the route, and what are you dealing with now?
Nothing super specific on the route. I already talked about like just kind of managing saddle discomfort, but it never got super bad.
Good.
A little bit of like tingliness in my two small fingers, and then
Still?
It's kind of going away.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'm feeling really good. I wrenched in my van last night, and that was fine.
Nice.
Same thing in the feet, but that's
He
kind of
rides a
going away.
V-dub, wrenching on his van. V-dub.
Dude, he's got a sick V-dub.
Yeah,
Thing's
sick,
fun.
sick
That thing's
V-dub,
fun.
for sure.
He wrenches on that
Yeah,
every
yeah.
day.
Check my Insta.
Yeah.
Hashtag van life.
Hashtag van life.
Just to get here, wrench on it.
And I know you had your tootsies kind of jacked up from
Whatever.
early on, and you're good now, and
Yeah, I'm great.
life's good. All right. Well, then lastly,
Unless you want to see the rash ass.
no, we don't want to see the rash. I heard about it. No rash.
2 doctor visits later.
What's next for both of you guys? Brendan, any rides, races planned? What's your summer looking like?
Because I know my friends are listening, watching. I'm trying to organize after RPI because they're coming up here.
Rebecca's Private Idaho.
Private
Boom, boom, boom. That's in my hometown, by the way. Come to the Wood River Valley. Let's ride. Okay, next.
Cool, man.
Yep, yep. Idaho.
I'm trying to get some people to join me for the Idaho Hot Springs route. Just tour
Yeah.
Another amazing route.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
and these, you
Yep.
guys are talking it up.
Boom, boom,
Amer-
boom.
yeah, American Cycle
Fun time.
Association, Hot Springs route.
Trying to organize that, but no races on the calendar. Just kind of by design. I was just like, I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel, what I'm gonna want to do, so I'm just gonna like not plan anything and then try to do this kind of Idaho Hot Springs route. Just tour it and have fun with some friends.
Rad.
Nice.
Well, now you got a lot of eyes watching you with this amazing performance on the divide, so it'll be good to keep track of you. Jay, what you got coming up, man?
I mean,
Spill the beans.
Yeah,
Some good stuff.
No big surprise here. I'm on to the next. Yeah, I'm going to Silk Road Mountain Race in Kyrgyzstan, and I just booked my ticket, so I leave August 10th, so that's like a month from now. And I'm riding with a friend of mine. I'm riding as a pair with a kid, 16 years old, Jacob Hura, who I've been kind of mentoring, but like.
Watch the ITI videos if you haven't already.
Yeah, so pretty good fun to feel, again, really lucky and fortunate to be able to just like kind of go on and be able to do my next adventure, and like, yeah, we'll see. Lifestyle is amazing, and yeah, other than that, just ride with some friends and try to get in some mountain biking too.
So if people want to keep track of you guys, what's the easy way? If the people want to follow you, what's the scoop?
They come to my house here in Idaho, down in Victor. Like, you want to be friends?
Dude, this
Come
was an
here.
undisclosed location, bro. We just disclosed.
Loiter outside the driveway until you come
Bro,
out.
Friends and followers on like digital media is like super weird, but like I love like real relationships. But then again, like if we do connect that way, of course it's the old Insta and whatever website stuff. Reach out. I do answer every question I receive, just about. I think get a lot of them, but I try to do my best. Thank you for everyone for following. I appreciate Alan and Gary for being here, for doing this, and for Brendan for showing up. I think this is an awesome opportunity to share our experiences and to hopefully enlighten everyone with some just like knowledge and just like what we went through out there, and inspiration and equipment, like recommendations or whatever. Just like, get out, do what you feel is good for you, have fun, bike tour, race, whatever, it doesn't matter. Thanks.
Brendan?
I post like twice a year, but
Yes!
The best.
I love it.
That's the best.
I am on Instagram.
Just the sleeper just comes out of nowhere. Who is this guy? I haven't seen him anywhere.
You don't have to be on social media to ride your bike. So
Truth.
Oh, no.
Truth.
Yeah,
Sure.
Brendan said
Hashtag van life.
Hashtag van life. There is some van shit on there.
And this is how you make friends.
Yeah.
Well, good. I think we should end it here. This is Gary. You haven't met him yet.
Cheers.
So, Jay, Brendan, super stoked, just hanging out, drinking beer, drinking whiskey. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, ride bikes, give back, pay it forward, and drink beer and live happy. All right, I think I can end it. How do we do it? Press the X button.
That's cool. And this was